Hello everybody, welcome back for some StarCraft 2 action at the Homestory Cup 25. We have Trigger going up against Mixu, the master of many RTSs, going up against a USA homegrown talent. America, baby. Burgers and whatever. We've got a little bit of PvZ action. And we have Amphion as our first theater of battle. Mixu going for a 14 hatch here, going for the 15 drone into Overlord. And on Amphion, that's actually pretty common, because on Amphion, you only have one third option. The other third base is stuck behind a wall of minerals, and it's 10 minerals each, so it's 20 total. So it takes a little while to get there. And so probe blocks are very effective. So if you go for a normal 16 hatch, you can be in for some trouble. On Amphion, of course, you could like reactively like proxy hatch, or you could go for a pool first type build. I think a 14-14 would actually be kind of cool on this map, but I don't think anybody's going to forget to scout their minerals. Especially with adepts existing nowadays, an adept will be ready there to kill all the drones that are mining out the minerals. And of course, with a 14-14, you can get speed super early, mount out the minerals. You could even kill like rocks and then try and do that, but it's not super effective. But it's definitely a build worth trying on the ladder, of course. Let's see how Mixu deals with this small, like, hindrance, I would say. And the way he chooses to deal with it is to delay his gases. Going to get gas a little later. And 7_ is underway for Trigger here. Let's see what happens. He does have a pylon in the main. Prime gas count for a starport after gateway unit. Although 1,000 gas could be something else. Robo, Twilight. Robo it is, okay. Let's hope we see a good old Soul Train. Last time I saw Trigger on this map. Yeah, it was Trigger versus Scarlet on this map. And he went for like a blink push, 2-base blink. Just got a War Prism, got some blink, got a bunch of blink stalkers, and he tacked over here. Scarlet also took this third base. Mixu mining it out, taking his third over here. And Trigger's none the wiser so far, because he's not sending out any scouts. He's even blocking off his natural over here. Mixu's not in the know, and his Overlord's actually trying to slip away here. Does not have any information on the Robo, so just preemptively pulling the Overlord back. We see a super fast robotics bay. Okay. So what is that going to be? Is that going to be Disruptors? Is that going to be like War Prism speed with Colossus drop? It could be like 1 or 2 Colossus with a bunch of Stalkers, like do a push. Could be a lot of things. We see Mixu finally going for his first gas here. I think he was prepared to just throw down 3 Evo chambers if there was a bunch of adepts coming in, because he can just get his third base and there's no way for Trigger to actually get in. So that would be a pretty cool build, to just build a bunch of Evo chambers and wall in the front, just the same as Trigger's doing. We have a Stalker over here. Overlord is not in position to see this mineral path. Would be nice to have the Overlord over there, but I guess it could die. And we do have the fast Prism. Probe is going to be ferried over for a third base. And immediately we do have the War Prism speed and the Disruptor coming out. So it's going to be a super cheeky Disruptor drop, which is pretty cool. War Prism speed makes this very fun. I like doing this in team games, because then your teammates can defend you and you can just fly around with like 1 or 2 speed prisms, just drop the Disruptors, throw the balls. There's always like one asshole that makes like 20 Marines early, so you can just explodinate all of those. He doesn't have a medevac. Super fun. And Mixu does have a Spore, actually spots that Observer, but we do not have a layer in sight. Do we even have speed? No, we don't have link speed. It's just a Roach Warren. And Mixu has a third base, but only 40 workers, is making a bunch of units here. He does see the third. They are both aware of the fact that they are pretty close by with their third bases. And this makes for a pretty interesting game already. 4 Adepts walking forward here. Going to be throwing up their shades, perhaps. Oh, actually using the shades to retreat. And the double disruptor is coming in. The Overlord does spot it. We're going to keep the zoom out for a little bit here. These disruptors trying to get some damage done, but this is a lot of queens. 6 queens ready. 7. And 15, 16 drones by Mixu. Dude, that is some discipline. Like, he waited to see if the attack was coming. And then the attack didn't come. Boom, drones. Boom, boom, drones. And he hasn't seen that much, has he? No, he hasn't seen anything. He just knows the timing of what an attack from a 2-base should look like at what time. And since he didn't see anything, he's like, okay, I'm going to make a round of drones. And boom, skyrockets up to 60 drones. He's back in the worker lead, only slightly. The disruptors try to get a couple hits. Only 2 drones going down to these disruptors. The queens are ready to defend. Get an evolution chamber here, and the lair is underway. And these roaches, walking off of creep, actually took down his own rocks. I really like that. Giving himself a little bit of more aggressive potential and map control with this creep. And the faster roaches. Does not have roach speed because lair only just finishing up. Does have the +1 range. So basically at 6.5 minutes into the game, no roach speed at all. Throws down a couple of corrosive vials for good measure. Could make an overseer and try and grab this overlord observer, because you kind of know as Mixu that it should be around. And this is looking like a pretty big push. Infestation pit's coming. That's... You guys smell it? That's definitely swarm host, baby. Let's effing go. +1 range, swarm host. Hopefully he doesn't go over 66 drones. So then Snoot's prediction is still true from, like, I don't know when he said it, like 2016 or something. 66 drones, swarm host, LFG. The 2 disruptors trying to stop this roach clump from advancing onto the natural here. The other side, another roach clump is trying to move in. Mixu attacking on 2 fronts. Disruptor clump comes in. Or a roach clump gets the kill on the disruptor just before the Nova could explode. And that's a nice pick off there for Mixu. Oh, no swarm hosts. Going straight into the hive. And I guess we're going to see some Vipers. The Vipers would be really good with just mass Roach Ravager. I like doing that in Zerg versus Zerg, actually. It's really strong. Just have Roaches and Ravagers as your army. Just get your upgrades. And then your opponent might be transitioning into Lurkers. Those are expensive. So you just yoink them out of the ground. Just have like 6 Vipers. It's actually kind of cool. You do have to be very aggressive, though, because once they have enough Lurkers, and you don't have enough Viper energy, it can kind of go bad. Or if they have a lot of Hydras because they were allowed to transition because you weren't aggressive enough. Now we do see Storm coming out from Trigger here. How many Immortals? 5 Immortals on the field to deal with all of these Roaches. And Mixu is maxed on Roaches. Do have a little bit of drop here from Trigger, but it doesn't really have the warp gates ready to warp in more Zealots. Or it just wants to keep that defensively. Actually hasn't mined out all of these minerals. Look at how awkward it is for this army to come back to defend the natural. And Mixu gets a couple of free buildings and actually gets a pretty cool trade versus the army of Trigger. Like, all of these Immortals just lagging behind. And Mixu getting that trade. That's gotta feel good. 4 bases from Mixu now. Would love to just see him throw down the 5th. You know, it might get cancelled by random Zealots, but you want to try. Want to get that up. You're maxed anyways. Maybe get a macro hatch as well. And boom, we get the zombie warping in the main. The Zealots start running at the drone line here. We have 1 disruptor needs to get clicked here by Mixu. And it will get clicked down before it gets any roaches. Now, in the front, I feel like Mixu had a little fight, but sadly enough, we did not see it. Lots of roaches did go down, so I feel like the trade went in Trigger's favor. Storm is also on deck here, and not a lot of drones have died. A couple probes did go down. And this annoying War Prism. The Queen's not being able to to keep it away from the bases. A couple of roaches still looking at this fourth base. Might want to run in, snipe a couple probes in the future. Look at all these cannons. And this is because Trigger knows that his base is super close to his opponent. So if he's defending over here, and for like 2 seconds he doesn't notice the roaches like walking in here, he can't walk through there. There's like corrosive biles being sniped. The roaches will just body block your army from walking in. And then the third base is just completely forfeit. So all of these cannons are actually necessary for Trigger to play this game. Like have a little bit of leniency in playing this game. Like if he's playing perfect, he might not need the cannons. But it's kind of hard to play perfect StarCraft 2. Oh, we get a recall on the War Prism. Probably got caught behind lines, enemy lines. Probably saw the Vipers. And he's like, ah, don't want to get abducted. Gonna get my War Prism out. If Mixu noticed that, then he can maybe abuse that fact that the recall is offline. I'm really surprised Trigger isn't mining this out. I guess he doesn't want like links to run by or anything, but I don't really believe that. Because then you would just make another wall somewhere else. Mixu on the Roach, Ravager, Hydra, now adding in Lurkers. Has some Vipers on the map, but they are not at the army right now. Storm's going down to soften up this army. And all of the action here in the middle of the map. Some Zealots trying to get into the third base behind this. Mixu losing a lot of his army. But the Lurkers are anchoring that fight. Zealots run into the third base, but the army is close by. Does force Mixu to give up this position. The Lurkers are now naked, caught with their pants down, if not more. Very embarrassing. 4 drones do go down, so not that many. And the Vipers looking at those tasty Immortals. Do yoink them in. Oh, almost got a yoink on the High Templar. Mixu reactively pulling the Vipers back when he sees them being too close to the High Templar. Zealots get into the main base though with that annoying War Prism. Get 12 more drone kills. Mixu now down to 66 drones. He's making more Lurkers as well, and +3 range is underway. My man, where are all those spores that we saw? They've all been killed. 4th base or Trigger now operational. And even thinking about a 5th base. Mixu also has a 5th base, does not have the gases online just yet. We have one Infestor. Hopefully he has not been forgotten. Don't have the Neural Parasite to deal with, you know, High Templars, even Archons, Immortals, or just the War Prism. We do have one Dropper Lord here at the 3rd base. Could be nice to put your drones in there, actually, but he's going for a Overlord drop with 2 Lurkers. That's kind of cool. You can just send it by here, get it in the main, even behind the natural here, or a 3rd base. 5 Archons with 11 Immortals. This is kind of like the army we saw from T. Drogo as well. Just Immortal, Archon, High Templar. No gateway units in the main army, actually. Well, aside from the High Templar, but no Zealots, Stalkers, Adepts. And Sentries. Those are the units you think about when I say gateway unit. But these are like Twilight Console unit and above. And lots of Robo units. Okay, Trigger's just getting this 5th base here and has established and is showing a lot of map control. Mixu's army trying to move into this location. Donates a few Hydra Roach there. It doesn't matter too much. 2 Immortals immediately get shut down. Nice! Blinding Cloud on the ramp. These units don't know what to do. Getting shredded by the Lurkers. And now these Immortals stuck in the back in this little corner. And he's bringing them to a very dark alley. And he's just putting all of those Immortals down. Like a dog with a tumor or something. I'm sorry if you love dogs. You know, he put them all down. Brought them back to the shed. Put a bullet in him. Lurkers going into the ground here, ready to release the Kraken. All of those spikes flowing out from the Lurker into the army of Trigger. And Trigger, can he hold on here? A little bit of War Prism Micro to keep his units alive, but the War Prism goes down. The Archons go down, and now the Immortals stand alone, and they don't stand very tall. They're actually quite small. They're hunched over all the time. And I don't think this is a good thing for Trigger. No more storms in the back. Only one lurker to anchor this army, though. If Trigger can get rid of these Hydras, he just doesn't have enough units to do it. We do have the nuclear battery taking care of this one arc, and the other one does get targeted down. We have a couple Infestors, couple Vipers with barely any energy. But in a couple of seconds, they might suddenly have it. 75 energy, ready for some yoinks. And this Immortal's looking mighty juicy. Oh, the Vipers want it. The Vipers get it, and the Hydras are treated to a nice meal. Oh my god, actually that Immortal survives 3 health, but a new one arrives. Pizza for the boys. Immortals are back on the menu, boys. And more High Templar, ready to get sniped. Look at that. Mixu taking a center of Trigger's bases, and it's very hard for him to consolidate his army. And the Ling Hydra, slow Lings coming in, actually. Very funny. Couple more lurkers now finally joining the fight. A nice fungal on these Archons that want to get away, but they get fungaled, slowed down to a crawl. And they are crawling away, but still going into their deaths. Another lurker does burrow. I think it's in range of the vision of that cannon. The other cannon, though, I think it's just out of vision, I guess. Nope, it's not. There's an observer. 2 observers. And Trigger doesn't seem to have a lot of juice left over. Still 2 Immortals coming out. Has 3 Zealots. Oh my god, they get aggroed into the army here. We have how many lurkers? 3 lurkers left over, but we still have 14 Hydras. Another yoink in this Viper. This Immortal wants to join the fight, but he doesn't want to do it alone. He needs a buddy. Here comes his buddy, his Luigi, to the Mario that he wants to represent for the Protoss forces, and the double Immortal does come out. Gets a couple shots off, but as soon as the Hydras focus on them, it becomes very scary. Only 2 cannons remaining in the front here, and Mixu slowly but surely is pushing into the 4th base of Trigger here, and Mixu has had a supply lead for a hot minute now. And Trigger never being able to establish any type of storm presence anymore. Had to consistently morph all of his High Templars into Archons, and never really had any AoE anymore. Didn't have storms, didn't have any extra disruptors. We saw a lot of Immortals, but yeah, I don't know, it's pretty hard with all of those Vipers. You might rather have Immortals, although Immortals are more expensive, but maybe Disruptors take longer to build. I don't know, we need some Protoss insight here. Because, yeah, the Vipers are scary, but yeah, wouldn't you rather have High Templar being yoinked over an Archon? They're both going to die the same. I guess it's just, he just had to survive, so he couldn't have like 2 High Templar in the back chilling. But I think that's kind of what you need to do if you ever want to stop this push from coming. Mixu, though, taking game number 1 in a very nice Amphion game. And they say that a jack of all trades makes a master of none. But Mixu's making a pretty good argument that a jack of all RTSs is perhaps a master over at least Trigger here in Homestory Cup 25 Group D. Trigger's down 1-0 versus Mixu, the RTS Maestro. Or at least I just know that he's pretty good at Stormgate and he's pretty good at the Zero Space. So he's probably also pretty good at the Gates of Pyre one. Probably also good at Battle Aces, you know? He's probably good at all of them. Now, before the action kicks off, be sure that you like the video and subscribe to the channel for more StarCraft action. And a little shout out to my last video where we did a little Stormgate giveaway. If you're watching this late, Stormgate comes out 13 August in 2024. And before that, there's a little early access period. And I have a couple keys to give away to get access to that early access. If you want those. Previous video. I think it's Petit Drogo versus a laser. Yeah. Back into the video game. That's what we're all here for. Mixu going for the 16 hatch this time around. He is fine with getting his hatch blocked on this map because he actually has 2 choices for a 3rd base. We saw Trigger go for an early scout on the gold to check if Mixu is doing anything cheeky, but no, Mixu's going Serral style. He doesn't want no gold base. You know, Bly would take it every time, but Serral takes the blue bases every time. He's like, blue eyes, trust fund, 6 foot tall. I take the blue bases. I'm Serral, baby. Now we see early speed from Mixu here, not mining any more gas, and let's see what Trigger's doing with his gas. Which tech building is gonna come down? Looking at the gas, it's gonna be Stargate. Stargate with an adept. Pretty interesting to see that, and no Nexus block, or a hatchery block. He's blocking the third base a little bit with this probe, sees the 4 links were made, and the links do get a couple hits on the probe here, but the probe should always get away. And the adept arrives, second adept is being chrono boosted out and sent across the map. Gateway research starting up, the third base is down for Mixu. One lane does go down, tries to get around the adept, but does get caught. Do have a nice forward creep tumor here from the queen. I mean, what other unit would put them down now? And only 2 lings, 2 more being created. And 2 adepts are across the map. Mixu might not have seen both of them, but he can expect them to be on the map. 2 shades are moving into the natural. Only 2 lings over here, so the shades do come in. We do see an instant 1-tap on that drone. Do see a second 1-tap on the Zerglings. 2 Zerglings, 3 Zerglings going down, 4 of them. And the adepts even get into the main base. Another drone gets sniped. But now finally the adept does get targeted down. Let's see what the damage is. 6 links and 2 drones for 2 adepts. It's not too bad. 1 Zergling is at the third base. We saw a couple links coming out and a couple more coming out now as well with the speed. And Trigger does not have a third base. Does not seem interested in a third base just yet. He has a Twilight console. He has 3 more gates underway. So Twilight 4 gate. But doesn't have anything across the map. He does have this Oracle across the map though. And does manage to take down, I think it was a Spore Crawler, or did it morph back? No, it did cancel itself and then the drone died. Oh, the lings actually getting in. Only 3 of them getting in though. One of the probes does go down. That's 2 in total. And we see Resonating Glaives coming up here. Mixu. Oh, the ling, no, doesn't get into the main base. And that means that Mixu does not have any scouting information on at least those adepts. Doesn't have the scouting info on the extra gateways. Does get a nice cancel on the third base again. But Mixu probably about to warp in a bunch of adepts here in the back. Mixu does see extra adepts being warped in, but does it click for him? Does he think like, oh, this must be Resonating Glaives, or it's just that 1 adept to stop me from entering his base? We do see a Roach Warren. It's in the front. We see a Spore Crawler in the front as well. It's kind of like anti-DT tech. It's only 1 Oracle. We see Resonating Glaives almost done. We see a Robo coming out. More adepts were warped in, and now this is a bunch of adepts. I think Mixu saw that, but I don't see any units. He's not supply blocked. But oh, he sees it now. He should see it now. Bunch of roaches and links coming out, but what? What happened? He ran into these adepts, but he just didn't have the larva. Does close down the natural, but these oh, the shades get misclicked, but they were cancelled, and now the queens are actually being targeted down by adepts. That feels bad. These queens are super tanky, but at some point they will die if there's no DPS to back them up. And the adepts get a little shade onto the drones. Only 2 of them die. And now the lings and the roaches can deal with these adepts. And I think most of these will die. More adepts do show up, though. They get shift-clicked onto the drones, and this is Zerg Nightmare. A stasis ward as well, kind of like an anti-timing, because these adepts now can't kill the stasis units. This is not the co-op missions. Well, I think it's like Tassadar, where you can literally just... No, it's the other guy. It's the Protoss guy. Artanis? I think it's Artanis. Where you can make oracles and they have stasis, and then you can still kill the units in stasis. So in the super unfair hard missions, you go like... I don't know what makes black hole. I think it's like it's a hero ability. Your black hole stasis ward, and then you just keep stasis warding them down until you kill it. Because like at some point they send like 60 hybrids at you, and you're like, I can't kill that with a max army. Doesn't matter what I do, I can't kill it. Or like brutal plus, or just brutal. I don't know, the highest like difficulty mutators. That shit was fun when it was cool, but then it wasn't cool anymore because they kept rehashing the same things and new commanders didn't bring enough. Trigger does have a bunch of stalkers now. Blink not quite done, but does catch a bunch of roaches here out on the map. Mixu not even trying to retreat. Both players don't have any upgrades. Mixu getting an okay trade on the stalkers actually with these roaches. Still has a decent supply. Nice amount of army as well. This War Prism getting caught by the queens. Don't have that 7 range anymore. Or was it 8? Oh, one roach misrallied, gets insta-bobbed by the stalkers. Now we have +1 stalkers coming in from Trigger. Kind of a trademark Trigger moment here, where just endless streams of stalkers are going to be pressing into your base. Some of the links are going to try and get some counter damage done, but back at the front, Mixu pulls the drones, maybe a little bit too late, but this clearly signals that there's a problem here for Mixu. The queens couldn't get on top of the War Prism, try to just get some damage in, use their transfuses to keep the roaches alive. Finally, they are clicked on top of the War Prisms. And wow, the stalkers don't even target down the queens. Nice micro there by Mixu, making sure the stasis ward doesn't catch all of the roaches, and Mixu stays alive. But at what cost? 47 drones remaining. He's making a couple of them because he knows he needs them, but 20 of them did go down. The 4th base has no drones whatsoever. And in the meanwhile, Trigger still nicely saturated on 3, even planning a 4th. +2 already halfway done. Charges underway, and another War Prism is coming across the map. This Changeling is, I don't know, trying to confirm if Mixu's dead or not. If he finds like a gold base, he should instantaneously leave. The poor queen gets punished for trying to respread the creep. And this Roach Ravager force, only 1 Ravager, doesn't seem suited to deal with all of these units in the back. Mixu also has to deal with all of these adepts. More drones, slowly but surely, are getting taken down. Blink and War Prism micro. Trigger. What a maniac. Just pure micro. Go, go, go. And of course, I mean, part of it is also just economy at this point. Just getting so much value out of these stalkers. It's kind of insane how cool the stalker is. Just stalkers. And with that, Trigger does take the... well, his first game in the series and the 2nd game overall versus Mixu. That probably hurts when you're Mixu. Like, that is just an avalanche of attacks coming at you. You just barely don't respond in time to the adepts. You think you're doing good. You're like denying the 3rd base a bunch, but actually he's just going for glaives. He gets like 2 groups of adepts in your base. You lose a couple drones. Not even that many, but you're put off, and then the stalkers come in, and oh my god. The War Prism harassment, the stupid Oracle flying around. And the cracks began to show. Wah, 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 wah. And Trigger strikes back on game number 2 on Alcyone. Takes that game versus Mixu with a, well, seemingly standard build, but deviated almost instantaneously. Went into the glaives with match point on the line, but did get, or managed to get the damage done. And Mixu wasn't able to find the defense there. Wasn't able to find the right answer. And now on Oceanborn, he has to show us that he can do it again. Stop Trigger from using this momentum from game number 2 to just cruise into a game 3 victory. Again, no early probe scout from Trigger. Mixu gets another 16 hatch. Must be comfortable, must be nice. All these ladder Protosses got the memo already. They're like, yeah, just block the nexus. They hate it. They get angry. They start bailing busting randomly. Which I think like the first like month or two when the hatch blocks were like popular. For like, I think the second time it kind of comes in like a sinoid wave motion thing, right? Like, becomes popular, Zergs respect it, Protosses feel like they don't get anything out of it, so they stop doing it, and then because nobody's doing it, it suddenly starts working again, so then they start doing it again, blah, 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 blah. I think, like, when it became popular again, I was so fed up with it that every time they blocked me, I would just put my hatch at the third and just keep mining gas, make a baneling nest. Like, you can even, like, do hatchery, cancel baneling nest if you don't want to make your second queen, and just go kill the bitch. Like, just bust his wall. Wouldn't always work, but, you know, I just didn't want to play the game where my hatchery was misplaced. It just wasn't a thing, you know? For all of Wings of Liberty and Heart of the Swarm, I was basically used to always having my natural, unless something very weird happened, mostly cannon rushes, which I enjoyed playing against, so that's kind of fine. 4 links out again from Mixu. Trigger trying to delay this third base a little bit again, and we see another Stargate opener and another Adept out on the map. No Schrodinger's Adept here. Trigger happy to show that his Adept is running across the map. The second one is coming out, Gateway Research is coming out, and let's see if Trigger is going for another 1 Oracle into Twilight, or if he has something else planned. I wouldn't mind just seeing a standard triple Oracle into a Blink push. Seems pretty strong on this map, but, you know, it's Trigger. Oh, he wanted to use this Adept and, like, hit this drone, but there wasn't a drone on that patch, because it's a faraway patch. So, as a Zerg, you try to keep all of your drones on the close-by patches for at least the first 8 workers. Still, the Adepts are trying to get a little bit of work done. I feel like none of the drones went down, just link kills. So not too shabby here, and the third does go down for Mixu. Speed just finishes. He just barely wasn't in time to block this, and as you can see, there's only 1 Adept to stop this from going down. Now there's a second one, but as soon as the Nexus is up, you need a lot more links to prevent it. Because links just don't kill a building Nexus that fast. You need like 8 to 12. I think it's like 6 to like kill it actually, to do more damage than it's gaining whilst building. Now let's see what's happening here. We see a gateway, but no other tech unit just yet. Or structure. We see a second Oracle from Trigger. And now we do see a Robo in the main. Oracle comes into the third base. Oh, 5 queens. Do have something to say about that. 1 queen, or 1 kill on this Oracle. Only 1 drone died so far for Mixu. 6 links going down. And even gets a little scout on the third base again. Sees the second Oracle, if he's lucky. Now we see the Forged Twilight with a little bit of an early Robo, kind of like Creator likes to do it. Or maybe Creator does it like Trigger likes to do it. Who knows nowadays? Second Oracle comes in, gets a cheeky drone kill here. This Oracle still looking for his number 2. Not a lot of takedowns from the Oracles here. Spores and Queens at the ready. And so Mixu sitting pretty here. 50 drones and being allowed to make even more, and Depth comes in and comes in to die mostly. Does see the Roach Warren. And what do we see on Trigger's side? We see Charge, we see the Immortal. So it kind of looks like the build we saw from Petit Drogo versus a Laser. Just a kind of more passive approach. And let's see if we're going to see a Templar Archives. Doesn't look like it. So don't see a bunch of gases. Instead, we see a gateway explosion from Trigger. If we don't see any more gases, this is definitely going to be an attack. And look at that, more gateways coming in. We already have 2 on the field. 7 more in production. He wanted to make an 8th one, but he actually kind of closed in his own probe accidentally. This Immortal probably has to harakiri the probe. I guess it's not suicide if somebody assists you, but assisted harakiri is needed to free up the supply. I guess you could also pick it up with a War Prism, like this one. And lots of warp gates are finishing up. A double stasis ward coming down from Trigger. Does get a couple... Oh my god, gets a lot of drones on the natural. And this Oracle is forfeit. The Queen does get the kill. But the army is moving out. The Lynx see the move out. They see Zealots. If you see Zealots, that's wet. You know, that's bad news. You're like, ooh, that's not good. Because if you see Zealots, that means they have charge. And if they have charge, they want to attack your ass. So we see roaches coming out here for Mixu. Want to see the queens at the front, but the queens are not all at the front. Some of them are still on the natural. The queens are now tanking a little bit of damage. We do see some transfuses going down. Nice job. Zealots in the back. Only one immortal. The Ravager's not getting targeted down. Nice job by Mixu so far, but can he sustain here? More Zealots coming in. No +1 upgrade for either side yet. Trigger pulling the trigger a little bit too early, but now he does have +1. This immortal going to town on these roaches, on these queens. Some Lynx come in from the back as well. Mixu pushes forward, but is he too far forward? The Ravagers now get behind the line of the roaches. The Congo line goes the wrong way. One Ravager does get taken down. And, oh, nice target fire on the immortal. The Zealots now ransacking the third base. The Berserker is going ham on this army. Now the drones are being pulled, actually, which seems appropriate with the amount of firepower that we have here for Mixu. And Mixu, is he surviving here? He sees all of the Zealots. No more Immortals, no more power units here, just Zealots. Now we've seen from Yuumi, or for Yuumi, what that can do. But Mixu surviving this onslaught of an attack by Trigger. Trigger starting +2, more Immortals coming in, but no extra gases. Trigger has more gas in the tank, and he just wants to go for more. Has 1k minerals in the bank, ready for another big Zealot Warpin. Where is that Warpism? We see one recall here on the Immortal. Trigger's like, I know what's happening here. Actually, I'm so confused. War Prism here in the main. Brrr. We get 11 Zealots in the main base whilst the army is out and about. It's only at the third base, still trying to run back, and this is so annoying to deal with here for Mixu. His queen number has decreased to 0. No queens on the map, and in the meanwhile, we have Zealots in the third, Zealots in the natural, Zealots in the main base, and the roaches are just running around trying to clean it up, but they can't get it done. Oh my god, so many drone kills. 17 drones going down. 53. The Spore Crawler doing the job that the Queens could not. The third base is under fire. Does not go down. The fourth base has been eradicated by the purge of this Protoss player. And the third base probes actually being main-arted over. A little bit of an assault did happen at the natural. Unpowering 1 or 2 of the gateways. Trigger actually getting another gas here. Mixu going in, going for the desperation assault. Only 50 drones. He's like, I took too much damage. I can't win if I just drone up here. Goes for the fourth base cancellation. That is a very nice consolation prize. That puts Trigger in an awkward spot. Yes, he has an army, but if Mixu stays alive and takes good trades, then suddenly his fourth base is enough for him to stay in this game. And ooh, doesn't get a couple free Zealots there, or at least free damage. More Zealots running on in, trying to click down this third base. The drones come off the line, but the Zealots are ruthless. They had a mission. It was a kamikaze mission, but they died with honor. They succeeded, and the mission has been accomplished. The Oracle there just taunting. Ready to gun down a couple more drones, perhaps. A lot of roaches in the front here. Not a lot of Ravagers. But, oh, here come more. I haven't said a thing. Ravagers in the back. No, the Ravagers. No! They donate themselves to the rest of the army of Trigger. Getting themselves caught out of position. Not the other way around. Usually it's your opponent that catches you out of position. But actually, Mixu catches himself being out of position. And loses all of his Ravager barely for free. Nice Ravager morph there in between the gateway, trying to keep these Zealots on their toes, but Trigger guns it down right away with his Oracle. At the fourth base, Trigger is losing his fourth again to the units of Mixu, but Mixu never made any new drones because, I mean, he had nowhere to mine. All of his bases were still building, so new drones were just not going to cut it. So just made more army units. Does have +1 range, but oh, look at the supply lines. They are kind of getting eaten up by the units of Trigger. How many Immortals? 5 on the map. This one is 7 kills, 2 kills, 8 kills, 5 kills. And the fourth base lives. It lives. The rocks are being taken down here by Mixu. More Roach Ravager joining the ranks. We do have a couple drones being added on, trying to saturate the bases that he does have, going over 60 drones. Starting +2 range, so Mixu thinks that he has to start playing a longer game here. And it would be nice to get these roaches into the main and then run up to the fourth and kill it, just like Trigger did with his zealots. This Immortal does get caught. Maybe you can force the nuclear battery. It does get forced, but he doesn't get through. The zealots block him, but the forces here at the fourth base are what is important. These Ravagers were A-moved and did not use their corrosive biles right away. The roaches were being microed and were cutting their way through the zealots, but look at that. Mixu just didn't have the APM to, like, efficiently fight on both sides. And it might have been a little bit of a tall order there to defend against this Oracle as well, whilst trying to attack in 2 places at once. The Ravagers, again, slightly too far forward. Zealots get on top of them. Immortals start pumping out the damage, and these Ravagers just evaporate. Now, you want them to get off those corrosive biles, force the Immortals to move and not shoot, or just eat the damage. And maybe you can even just bile down the shield battery. Like, you forced the nuclear battery at a good position. Now, the Queens, are they coming out here? More roaches are coming out. 67 drones. And 100 army supplier for Mixu. +2 range is coming up. We even see an infestation pit, so he might actually be thinking about a hive in the future. Getting a couple of those Vipers. More Ravagers getting targeted down here. Again, the force fields. Nice corrosive biles, but more Ravagers were donated there. And that's been 10 Ravagers this game. It feels bad, man. We see Burrow coming out. That might be a mistake, because I think a lot of players, like myself, have Burrow on R, but also if you go to your larva and then you press R, you make roaches. So you see Burrow made with roaches accidentally a lot more than any other unit. But it depends on your hotkeys. Nice force fields there from Trigger, keeping a part of the army of Mixu away. And Trigger managing to get a fight here with only the half of the army from Mixu. Mixu coming in from behind now, but these Immortals already shelling down one brunt of the army. And these Archons and Zealots get on top of the rest in the back. And Mixu fighting on 2 fronts, but doesn't look to be winning either side. Nice corrosive biles, but Trigger does get them to safety in his War Prism. And Trigger does take this best of 3 in a pretty gnarly game number 3. Damn. I feel for Mixu, dude. This was a hectic game for him. He just had to, like, hang on by the skin of his teeth for half of this game. Had to get counter damage done, and did get some counter damage done a couple times, but in the end, doesn't manage to take down Trigger, and I guess the master of StarCraft does beat the jack of all RTSs for this time. You know, there's always a next Homestory Cup. Guys, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed a little bit of Zerg versus Protoss action. Thank God we got a little bit of Zerg into the mix before we go into more Protosses and Terrans again. Be sure to check out the Stormgate key giveaway if you're into that game. I understand that not a lot of people actually want to play that. But if you do, I got the small giveaway going. I'm not being paid for that or anything. I just have the keys, and I feel bad for just having them and not giving them away. If nobody picks them up in a week, I'm just going to put them on my Twitter or Discord and just be like, oh, if they're gone, they're gone. But, you know, Want to farm that YouTube interaction. Want to reward my subscribers that watch till the end, or at least, I think I said it like after game 1 or something. Anyways, rambling as always. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you so much. And I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.